So good morning students. In the last class we had discussed about the chapter living world. In that we were discussing about the identification. Then first that is the nomenclature identification. So we were discussing about that. We had talked about the identification. Next we have to go for the nomenclature. See here, nomenclature means that is the naming for a particular living organism. And that name should be universally same. Okay, all over the world that name should be similar. Okay, so that particular scientific names they had given some of the biologists or some of the scientists, and that process of naming of that particular organism is known as the nomenclature. Or this particular nomenclature, it provides a scientific name. What does it provide? It provides a scientific names for identified organism. Before naming, that organism should be identified accurately. Then only they can provide a scientific name. So scientific names for identified organisms. This nomenclature will provide a scientific name for the identified organism. So nomenclature is possible only when the organism is described accurately. Okay, not on the general characters, not on some basic characters. It should be morphologically accurate, physiologically accurate. So in all that things, it should be accurately described. Then only they can provide a scientific name. Okay, so this for plants, the scientific names can be done directly. See, for the plants, it is based on the agreed principles. Okay, see here for plants. The nomenclature is based on agreed principles or agreed criteria. Principles, and these principles were given by the a center or a particular organization is there, and the name of that is ICBN. What it is? ICBN. What do you mean by this? What is the full form of this ICBN? Means that it is International Code for Botanical Nomenclature. Whatever the naming process is there, whatever the naming process is there or the nomenclature, it is based on some of the principle which was given by some organization, that is ICBN. What is the full form of ICBN? Means ICBN is for what? For the plants. And what about the animals? For animals, there is also some principles which was given by ICZN. Okay, what is ICZN? Means that it is International Code for Zoological Nomenclature. That means for animals. Zoological nomenclature. Okay, for plants, based on this principle. For animals, based on this principle. ICBN and ICZN. Okay, so the scientific name ensures that each organism will have only one name. Okay, for dog, it should be dog, not any other name. We cannot say the dog is a cat. In this city it's dog, in another city it's a cat. It should be one name. The nomenclature or this principle providing only a one name. Okay. The next thing here, some biologists have been accepted this nomenclature universally by giving some rules. Okay. What are that rules? Let's see here. Next, see, biologist follows some universally accepted principles. Universally accepted principles for naming process. That is for nomenclature or to provide scientific names. Okay, here the biologist follows universally, means all over the world. It should be accepted. Okay, here if it is accepting means all over the world in all the countries, that name should be accepted. Okay, so accepted principle, by that only they are providing the scientific names to each organisms. So that here each name has two components. Let's see about this, how they are providing the scientific names to each organisms. Okay, so this each name has two components. Each scientific name will have the how many components? Two components. It will have the two components. And what are the two components? Means one is the generic name or the genus what we call, another is the species name or the specific epithet what we call. What it is? It is one component is generic name or else we can also call it as the genus. Okay, about genus, species, we are familiar with these words, but also in this chapter, further you will study in detail what you mean by genus, what you mean by species. See, species means organisms which are which has the most closely related characters, or more. They are see, in a group of animal, if they have a more close similar characters to them, we had categorized into a particular species. Then according to that species, some less characters are similar, means that we can say it's a genus. That categories we had described over here. In this chapter further you will study in detail. So one component is generic name, then second component is the species. Species or specific epithet. Okay, these are the two components of the scientific names, which was universally accepted. Okay, so here see this system of providing a name with two components, we can call it as the binomial nomenclature. What we can call binomial nomenclature. Why we are calling binomial nomenclature means it has bi means two. Okay, two components are there. That's why they have given the term as the binomial nomenclature, which consists of two components. One is the generic name, another is the species name. Okay, so here this binomial nomenclature, this naming system, this is the name of naming system, or this term used to describe the naming system. See here, this method of naming system or this naming system, this naming system, first it was described by which scientist, that it is the, or it was, this naming system binomial nomenclature was first given by a scientist name is Carolus Linnaeus. Carolus Linnaeus. The name of scientist who has given first, what is that? That is this naming system. What is the naming system? That is the binomial nomenclature. It was first given by the Carolus Linnaeus. Okay, so it is being followed by all the biologists. But first, who described that naming system? Carolus Linnaeus. For example, the scientific name of mango. Scientific name of first, on which plant or on which organism he has given the, or he has described first, means on the mango. Okay, scientific name of mango. Mango is a local name, common name. Okay, here the mango, scientific name of mango is Manganifera indica. What it is? Manganifera indica. It can be written as Manganifera indica. This is the scientific name of mango. Mango is the common name. Manganifera indica is the scientific name. Okay. The next here, the scientific name of mango is the Manganifera indica. Here, the genus, see here, Mangifera is the species name. Species or specific epithet, what we call. The first name in the scientific name always for all organisms. I am not talking about only the mango. Always the first component of the scientific name, it will be the, it's a genus. It is the genus. Always the first, this is the first component, that is the Mangifera. In all organisms, it will be the genus name. The second component, indica, it will be always species name. Species or specific epithet. Generic name or the genus, species or specific epithet. Okay, not only for mango for animals, for any bacteria, for fungi, for algae, for any living organism. If they are providing a scientific name, in that the first name will be always, it will be the genus name, second name it will be the species name. Okay, the next here there are some rules to how to write the scientific names. Okay, that rules will be asked for 3 marks in your theory exam. So let's see the rules for binomial nomenclature or universal rules also we can say. Universal rules of binomial nomenclature. 3-mark question. Universal rules of nomenclature. See, the first rule is that the first word in a biological name be present. First word in biological name or the scientific name, what we call scientific and biological name is same. Don't be in confusion. I'm writing biological name means you may think that biological name is something different. It's similar. Okay, the first word in biological name represents the gene, while represents the genus, while the second name represents the species. This is the first rule. Always the first name it should be the genus and the second name it should be the species name. The next here both the words in a biological name when handwritten, okay, it should be underlined separately. If you are typing in a system or any else, it should be written in italics. Okay, so that it should be highlighted that particular name is the biological name. Okay, see here, biological names are both the words in a biological name, both the words in a biological name if it is handwritten, it should be underlined separately. Underlined separately. Okay, then or printed means, or if it is printing means printed up, then it should be in italics. Okay, here with example I will tell you. In the first rule, I will write the example. Example, that is Mangifera indica, where this is the genus name and this is the species name. This is the first rule. Second rule, here example Mangifera indica. For example, it is handwritten. Writing with handwritten. It should be separately underlined, not all together. You should not underline fully like this to both the names. Okay, separately you have to keep the gap. Okay, between the genus name and the species name. So it should be separately underlined. This is the second rule. Third rule. The first letter of genus, okay, first letter of genus, it should start with capital letter. It should start with capital letter. And species name should start with small letter. Once again, I will take an example. Listen here that the first letter of genus, okay, Mangifera is the genus name. Okay, the first letter, that means the young. Not only in the mango or mangifera, in all these biological names, always the first letter should start with the capital letter. Okay, it should be written in a capital letter. Okay, then here the second letter, the species name should start with a small letter. Indica. This is the species name. Here you can see the first letter of species name. Okay, it is written in a small letter. This is the third rule. First rule, the first name represents the genus name. Second name represents the species name. Second rule, if it is handwritten, it should be underlined separately. If it is printed, it should be written in a italics. Then third rule, the first letter of genus starts with capital letter. The species name should start with the small letter. Okay. The next, what is the next rule over here means? The last one, that name of the author. Okay. If the person or scientist who gave the name or described this particular name, for example, Mangifera indica, it was first given by the Carlos Linnaeus. Okay, here in the last one, after species name, for example, I will write directly the example Mangifera indica Linn. Mangifera indica Linn means what? Here both the names are underlined. Linn means what? This is the name of scientist or the person who has first described that particular biological name. Okay, Linn represents the abbreviated words. Abbreviated means in a short form. Represents the name of classification. It is not possible that all living organisms all over the world is grouped into one category. So classification is very important. Okay, to classify them on the basis of some of the morphological character, physiological character, or any other basis. Okay, let's see about the classification. Next up, what it is means, that is the classification. What do you mean by classification? Means it is a process by which anything is grouped into a convenient category by seeing or by observing some easily recognizable characters. That process of recognizing or identifying, it is known as the classification. So here, classification. It is a process by which anything by which anything grouped into a convenient category. Convenient category by based on some or based on some easily observable characters. This process where anything means living organisms. What does this anything means? That is the living organisms. Here, the living organisms are grouped into a convenient category. For example, here this is one area. Okay, in this area there is a plant. If we classify plants, means there will be angiosperms, gymnosperms, algae, pteridophytes, bryophytes. Okay, then animals. Animals means if we classify them means there will be amphibian, reptiles, apes, pisces, mammals. Then bacteria, many varieties of bacteria are there. Fungi will be there. Then these protozoans will be there. Okay, if this is living in a particular area, what he will call, what he will say, which organisms are living here, means what he will say, all are living organisms, we will say. But we have to classify that. How means? By seeing plants means which are green in color. Animals means they are eating by themselves, they will have limbs, they will have the ears and all. Okay, then bacteria means which are named, which are microscopic structure. Protozoan, that too microscopic. Fungi. So by seeing some characters which can be easily observable, by seeing that characters they had kept in particular categories or they had grouped into the particular categories, that it is known as the classification. Okay, so this classification, see, they had given some category, convenient category. That category, The scientific name for this category is called as the taxon. What it is? Scientific name for category. Scientific name for category is known as the taxon. What it is? Each category. Okay, what we can call? We can call it as the any category, or the scientific term for any category. Scientific name or term for any category is known as the taxon. Taxon question will be asked for what is taxon. This question will be asked for 1 mark for your theory. Taxon means scientific term for any category is known as the, or it is called as the taxon. Okay, the next one more term is there, taxa. Taxon over. Next comes the taxa. Here you see taxa. Taxon is a category. Next we will see that what do you mean by taxa. Taxa means it indicates categories at different levels. Categories at the different levels. See, one example I will tell you. Here, if a dog is there, name dog is at one level. What is dog? Dog is a mammal. What is dog means you will say pet animal. Okay, or carnivore animal, like that. There will be some categories. So, dog is a mammal. Mammal is what? Mammal is a animal. Yes, sir. Dog will come under the mammals. Mammals are what? They will come under the animals. Means here, these are the levels. Okay, all the dogs, they are given the name dog. This is one level. Okay, they are grouped into one by giving one scientific name, that is the dog. Okay, these dogs will have certain easily observable characters, that is presence of external ears, presence of hairs on the body. These are the characteristic features of what? Mammals. So that we can say that is one of the mammal. This is also one level. Okay, so next animal. Why we are calling animal? Because they are non-photosynthetic. Because they have some of the limbs, they have the sense organ, their body has some organ system level of organization. By seeing such characters, we had considered them into the animal. Whether we can say dog is a fungi or bacteria? No. This is an animal. So these things are the levels. These all are. Mammals is not an animal. See, mammal is not an individual organism. Mammal is the name of a group or the category at some level. So that is known as the taxa. Categories at different levels, we can say it is the taxa. One more example I will tell you. Weed. Okay, weed in your mind, what it will come? Weed means it is a plant. Yes, sir. Plant, first at one level it is a monopod, means which will have only a single cotyledon. This is one level. Monopod comes under the plants. Okay, so this is a plant. These are the levels, and this is the name of organism. So categories at different levels, we can say it is the taxa. Okay, the next here. Next, all living organisms can be classified into the different taxa. All living organisms, either it may be the bacteria, protozoan, animal, plant, that all living organism has been classified into the different taxa. Means all of them have certain categories, some level of categories. Okay, so that classification is based on that particular taxa, and this process of classification is known as the taxonomy. What it is known as? It is known as the taxonomy. So let's see. Taxonomy. What do you mean by taxonomy? Means all living organisms, all living organisms can be classified, into different taxa. Different taxa means different levels or different categories. That process of classification of living organism is known as the taxonomy. Different taxa. Understood? What do you mean by taxon? Taxa, taxonomy. Taxon means category. Taxa means categories at different levels. Taxonomy means classification of living organism on different, based on the different taxa. That is known as the taxonomy. Okay. So next, the term comes the systematics. Okay. What do you mean by systematics? We will see here. Next, systematics. That is the study of living organisms, different kind of organisms, study of different kinds of organisms, their diversity, and also the relationship among them, and also the relationship among them. Okay, so see here, what do you mean by systematics means here study of different kinds of organism, their diversities means varieties. Okay, what are the diversities, differences will be there, and also their relationship among them. Okay, relationship means if you talk about the evolution, okay, evolution means where one example I will tell you, that is dinosaur. Okay, dinosaur shares the characters of both two classes, that is one is reptiles, another is apes. Yes, sir. So they both are relatives. Yes, one more example I will tell you. Frog. Frog is the relative of Pisces, that is the fishes, and amphibians. How means? Because the frog lives in water as well as on the land. Okay, their larval stage, it will be similar to the fishes. Adult stage, it will convert into the adult frog. It looks like a frog. While it will be hatched from the egg, it will be similar like a fish. So there is a relationship. So whatever the study of the different kind of organism, their diversities and the relationship among them means that study is known as the systematics. What it is known as? It is known as the systematics. So systematics. See here, Linnaeus has published one book and named as the Systemae Naturae. On the basis of this systematics, see here the word systematics is derived from a Latin word. This word derived from a Latin word. And then what is that Latin word? It is a systema. Systema means systematic arrangement of living organisms. Systematic arrangement of living organism. Next thing here, the Linnaeus used the name Systema Natura for his book of publication. Okay, so this is about the term systematics. The next, in the next class, we will talk about the taxonomic categories. Okay, thank you. The next class, we will continue with the next topic.